Way back when I was just a little bitty boy living in a box under the stairs in a corner of the basement of the house half a block down the street from Jerry's Bait Shop. You know the place. Well, anyway, life back then was going swell and everything was just peachy. Except, of course, for the undeniable fact that every single morning my mother would make me a big old bowl of sauerkraut for breakfast. A big bowl of sauerkraut every single morning. It was driving me crazy. And so I said to my mom, I said, "Hey, Mom, what's up with all the sauerkraut?" And my dear sweet mother just looked at me like a cow looks at an oncoming train. And she leaned down right next to me and said, "It's good for you!" And then she tied me to a wall and stuck a funnel in my mouth and force-fed me nothing but sauerkraut till I was 26 and a half years old. That's when I swore that one day I would get out of that basement and travel to a magical faraway place where the sun is always shining and the air smells like warm root beer and the towels are oh so fluffy and the Shriners and the lepers play their ukuleles all day long and anyone on the street would gladly shave your back for a nickel. Waka waka doo doo, yeah. Well, let me tell you, people, it wasn't long at all before my dream came true. Because the very next day, a local radio station had this contest to see who could correctly guess the number of molecules in Leonard Nimoy's butt. I was off by 3, but I still won the grand prize. That's right, a first-class one-way ticket to Albuquerque, city of mystery. You know, I'd never been on a real airplane before, and I got to say it was really great. Except I had to sit between 2 large Albanian women with excruciatingly severe body odor. The kid in back of me kept throwing up the whole time. The flight attendants ran out of Dr. Pepper and salted peanuts. The in-flight movie was Snakes on a Plane. Oh, and 3 of the airplane engines burned out. And we went into a tailspin and crashed into a hillside, and the plane exploded in a giant fireball, and everybody died. Except for me. You know why? Because I had my tray table up and my seat back in the full upright position. Anyway, so I crawled from the twisted, burning wreckage. I crawled on my hands and knees for 3 full days, dragging along my big leather suitcase and my garment bag and my tenor saxophone and my 12-pound bowling ball and my lucky autographed glow-in-the-dark snorkel. But finally I arrived at the world-famous Albuquerque Holiday Inn where the towels are oh so fluffy, and you can eat your soup right out of the ashtrays if you wanna. It's okay, they're clean. So anyway, I check into my room and I turn down the AC and I turn on the Spectrovision and I'm just about to eat that little chocolate mint on my pillow that I love so very, very much when suddenly there's a knock at the door. Now, who could that be? I say, "Who is it?" No answer. "Who is it?" No answer. "Who is it?" They're not saying anything. So finally I go over and I open the door, and just as I suspected, it's some big fat hermaphrodite with a flock of seagulls haircut and only one nostril. Oh man, I hate it when I'm right. So anyway, he bursts into my room and he grabs my lucky snorkel and I'm like, "Hey, you can't have that. That snorkel's been just like a snorkel to me." And he's like, "Tough." And I'm like, "Give it." And he's like, "Make me." And I'm like, "Okay." So I grabbed his leg and he grabbed my esophagus. I bit off his ear and he chewed off my eyebrows. I took out his appendix and he gave me a colonic irrigation. Yes, indeed, you better believe it. And somehow in the middle of it all, the phone got knocked off the hook. 20 seconds later, I heard a familiar voice. You want to know what it said? I'll tell you what it said. It said, "If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up and call your operator." So anyway, to cut a long story short, he got away with my snorkel. But I made a solemn vow right then and there that I would not rest. I would not sleep for an instant until the one-nostriled man was brought to justice. But first, I decided to get some donuts. So I got into my car and I drove over to the donut shop and I walked up to the man behind the counter and he said, "Yeah, what do you want?" I said, "Do you have any glazed donuts?" He said, "No, we're out of glazed donuts." And I said, "Do you have any jelly donuts?" He said, "No, we're out of jelly donuts." And I said, "Do you have any Bavarian cream-filled donuts?" He said, "No, we're out of Bavarian cream-filled donuts." And I said, "Do you have any cinnamon rolls?" He said, "No, we're out of cinnamon rolls." And I said, "Do you have any apple fritters?" He said, "No, we're out of apple fritters." And I said, "Do you have any bear claws?" And he said, "Wait a minute, I'll go check." "No, we're out of bear claws." So in that case, I said, "In that case, what do you have?" And he said, "All I've got right now is this box of 12 starving crazed weasels." So I said, "Okay, I'll take that." So he hands me the box and I open up the lid and the weasels jump out and immediately latch onto my face and start biting and clawing me all over. Man, they were going nuts. They were tearing me apart. And it was right around this time the little ditty started to go through my head. I believe it went a little something like this. "Ah, get him off me, get him off me, get him off me, get him off me. Ah!" So I ran out into the street, waving my arms all around, and just running like a constipated wiener dog. And as fate would have it, that's when I would run into the girl of my dreams. Her name was Zelda. She was a calligraphy enthusiast with a slight overbite and hair the color of strained peaches. I even remember the very first word she said to me that day. She said, "Hey, you got weasels on your face." And that's when I knew it was true love. We were inseparable after that. Oh, we ate together and we bathed together. We even shared the same piece of mint-flavored dental floss. The world was our burrito. So we got married and we bought us a house and had 2 beautiful children, Nathaniel and Superfly. We were so very, very, very happy. Until that one fateful day, Zelda said to me, she said, "Sweetie Pumpkin, do you want to start a Netflix account together?" And I said, "Whoa, hold on now, baby. I'm just not ready for that kind of a commitment." So we broke up and I never saw her again, but that's just the way things go in Albuquerque. But things really started looking up for me, because about a week after that, I finally achieved my lifelong dream. That's right, I got me a part-time job at the Sizzler. I even made Employee of the Month after I put out that grease fire with my face. Yeah, everyone's starting to get pretty jealous of me after that. Starting to get a lot of attitude. Okay, so like this one time I was in the parking lot trying to remove my XX earwax with a golf pencil. And this guy named Marty is trying to lift this big old sofa up some stairs all by himself. And I'm like, "Hey, you want me to help you with that?" But Marty, he just rolls his eyes and says, "No, I want you to cut off my arms and legs with a chainsaw." So I did. And then he gets all indignant on me. He's like, "Hey, man, I was just being sarcastic." Well, that's just great. How was I supposed to know that? I'm not a mind reader, for crying out loud. Oh, and that reminds me of another amusing anecdote. This guy walks up to me on the street, tells me he hasn't had a bite in 3 days. Now, I knew what he meant, but just to be funny, I took a big bite out of his jugular vein. And he's yelling and bleeding and screaming all over, and I'm like, "Hey, man, don't you get it?" But he just keeps rolling around on the sidewalk, bleeding and screaming, "Ah, ah, ah!" You know, completely missing the irony of the whole situation. Man, some people just can't take a joke, you know? Well, anyway, I know it's kind of a roundabout way of saying it, but I guess the whole point I'm trying to make here is I hate sauerkraut. That's all I'm really trying to say. And by the way, if you ever wake up and find yourself in an existential quandary, full of loathing and self-doubt and racked with the pain and isolation of your pitiful, meaningless existence, at least you can take a small bit of comfort in knowing that somewhere out there in this crazy old mixed-up universe of ours, there's still a little place called Albuquerque. Thank you.